Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second episode of Tuple Talks. My name is Miszczyszyn, and I'm from 11 Sigma, and my co-host today is Miąskowski, also from 11 Sigma. Michał, say hi to our listeners.
Hello, everybody.
So today's topic, we wanted to talk about dependency management, but this is quite a wide topic. We'll try to cover as much as possible in 30 minutes. And well, let's get started. Before the recording, Michał sent me a few links and topics that we want to cover. So yeah, you can go ahead and let's dive in. The first tool I guess we wanted to talk about was Dependabot. I guess everyone knows it, right?
Yeah, right now it's not natively, I think, in GitHub for some time, so you cannot really use it outside of it. So let's start with the reason why you should do it. Like, what is even a dependency management, right?
Yeah.
So when you're developing a library or a web application, nowadays you're most probably using open source libraries, open source code to use within your application. But that gives you like a couple of vulnerabilities. The most obvious one is a security one, because everybody can look in the code, on the open source code, and like see, okay, there's a possible vulnerability. The other one being performance issues, and the third one being like quality, which means bugs, etc. So even if you don't have bugs in your own code, then it could possibly happen in one of your dependencies or even sub-dependencies. So Dependabot kind of addresses that issue with allowing to specify what packages should be updated, if only dependencies or dev dependencies within your package JSON. So do you want to address the possible issues in the development stage or in production? So it's very flexible. Although
we are also using Dependabot. Yeah, I just
yeah, although it can give a bit of noise in PRs, since it creates a separate PR for each bump. I think at least that was how it worked the last time I looked into PRs created by it.
It's still the case. Yep. So it creates a separate PR for every, even the smallest update. I think you can, in the configuration, you can specify what kind of updates do you want. And I think it does it because if your code base is very well tested and there is an update and all tests pass, then at least in theory, you should be good to merge it. And everything should still work just fine.
Yeah. Well, and if you set auto merge on your PRs, you can even omit that step, right? So, but that takes into account that you have a good testing suite and a decent like pipeline for your code base. So, dependency management is just one part of the whole process, which, as I said, needs to be properly tested. Like whenever you bump those dependencies. Although we have one.
I cannot imagine how could you safely update packages without having a test suite. I mean, what do you do? Do you update packages and then click through your whole application? It doesn't really make sense.
Or kind of rely on your users to report bugs, you know? I don't know. Maybe that well, there will always be a situation when there is some corner case that is not covered by tests, but having like a proper test suite that covers most of the common use cases. Yes, is a must definitely. And as for the usage of the dependent bot, I like it very much. Although for some like custom stuff, for example, there's an allow type in dependent bot, which specifies like production or development environment, and we wanted to do different updates for dev dependencies. So like security, minor updates for dev dependencies and security updates in regular dependencies, and in like different times. Let's say one was each week and a second one was every day. And this is not possible yet, but like besides those small use cases, I think it's a really good tool for taking care of that.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that it works not only with JavaScript or TypeScript, not only with NPM, but also with Python. And I think maybe some other dependency management tools for other languages. I'm not sure. Also, what's quite worth mentioning is that the Dependabot was acquired by GitHub some time ago, and GitHub is really pushing forward with their security at every step kind of motto or whatever. So it's now natively, if you're using GitHub, then it's natively integrated now. So it's just a single click to enable it with the default settings, I think, and it just works.
Yeah, unless for whatever reason you want to disable it, so just remove the dependabot.yml document from your project and do whatever you want, like have a custom script in your CI pipeline, or use an alternative tool like Renovate.
Renovate,
right?
yeah.
Which is an open source tool, which serves the same purpose, and the base idea behind it is basically the same. Although I find it to be more granular in options, and you can have it on locally, or just like integrated in GitHub, or it has a very nice like introduction PR in its build process that basically walks you through with how you need to configure it. But yeah,
it also
it doesn't works
what I like about
different,
Renovate
right?
is yeah, exactly. It's basically it's for the same purpose, right? But what I really like about the Renovate is how well formatted and readable are their pull requests. They're automatically generated, and you get all the information in the PR description, including the release notes for the package that's being updated. So
yeah, and you can do bundles, right, as well. Like here's the list of stuff that will be updated within this PR, and boom, 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 boom. There is a bunch of packages. So
like in the screenshot I'm showing, sorry, there is an automatic update for Babel, and they list all the changes that were introduced between the version we are using and the version it's willing to update to.
And for me personally, this is a more like real life scenario where you have library that is installed by users. So each time you have each time you have a fresh install, not just one package will be bumped, right? Or not bumped, in their case will be freshly installed. But just a bunch of stuff that happened to release new versions in between, some period of time, and that kind of reflects that.
Yeah, and I really like the if we could come back to the dependable and the GitHub approach. What I really like is that the GitHub security kind of package, or the feature that they have, that with single click you can enable dependable, but you can also enable so much more. For example, I know it's not strictly about the dependency management, but I wanted to mention it, that you can enable CodeQL. And CodeQL is a tool which analyzes your source code, and it looks for bugs, like, I don't know, some kind of vulnerabilities, like
kind of like a sonar
SQL
cloud.
injection. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Like it for example, here it found a SQL injection, I think. And actually, it worked for me a few times in my open source project, when it actually found bugs where I was accepting unsanitized inputs from my users, or in one of the commits, I actually exposed my private key, and it also found that, and it sent me an email instantly, notifying that I should regenerate that private key and remove it from the code. So it's really good. It works
And this
really,
tool is
really
integrated
well.
in GitHub Actions, right?
Yes.
Or
Yeah. Yes.
okay.
Yeah, it's actually one click. It kind of set up. It creates the GitHub action for you, and it also works not only with Node.js or JavaScript, but also with other technologies. So yeah. Oh yeah, there's an example. It found the secret access key somewhere in the code base, and it did from you. So yeah, I highly recommend just using everything you get. You can. It's free, so I mean, why not do it?
Sure. So, what do you think is the most common use case for these tools? Like real life scenarios. Imagine you either have like a web application or library when you actually use this kind of stuff.
Well, I think it's I would definitely use it for any kind of backend applications. That's for sure. Yeah, it creates a lot of noise, like you mentioned. Dependable, for example, it creates a lot of PRs, but it's I think it's for the purpose. If you want to keep your application secure and up to date, it's definitely the way to go.
Yeah, some time
also,
ago, I sorry.
Yeah, also, I just wanted to say that if you update your packages manually, because, I don't know, you want to spend your whole day updating packages because for some reason you were behind, when you update your packages, then the Dependabot will automatically close the stale PRs, so they will just they will be removed.
Well, and also, like you can configure it to either modify the packet JSON or not modify the packet JSON, depending on if you want to actually go above a version. Let's say you are using some code that is just in beta, but you're not doing like a commercial product, and you can actually want to use it. So you specified, okay, I know this version is stable, or at least like the patches are okay, but I'm not okay with doing minor or major updates. So you can tell Dependabot, okay, let's make sure that we do any security updates, but besides that, I don't want anything else to happen, because I don't know how it will affect my code. And it can be due to different reasons. One of those reasons can be that you don't have enough time and energy to create the best test suite, and this kind of can serve like a safety net. It won't test your code. It won't make sure that it doesn't break. But if we stick to Semver and believe people stick to Semver in open source libraries and overall open source code, then this kind of gives you a sense of safeness. So
yeah, And like you said, you can enable the automatic merges, and then it's depending on what creates a PR. It goes through your tests and gets merged. It doesn't require any actions from your side. So it, at least in theory, it should simplify maintenance of the dependencies.
And in general, I think like making sure that dependencies are updated is more important in libraries than web applications, because I read an article on Yarn website some time ago about should you actually publish log file with your web app. And like overall, the thought was you should, for an application, for like a dev experience, and for user experience. So this kind of helps with how we want to deal with dependencies, making sure that stuff doesn't break. But for libraries, when it you have dependencies installed freshly for new users, you want to do the same for developers, and it could introduce a lot of noise to the developers. Like imagine you're working on a library, and you don't actually push a log file every time a developer installs packages. They will possibly encounter some issues, and this drastically could increase time of development. Like if you had to deal with bugs every time you do a new feature, imagine that, just because some package was broken. So dependency management is a middle ground, like using those kind of tools like Dependabot or Renovate, where locally, when working on developing stuff, you can focus on what you're doing, like implementing new feature, and in the pipeline you can set up those different settings that make sure, okay, the stuff I did or somebody before me did didn't break or didn't introduce any new breaking changes. So
I think that makes sense. Yeah. But you mentioned the yarn log or package log file. I think we might want to cover what that even is. I mean, some people may not know what that is. And I saw that you wrote a very nice article on 11 Sigma blog about yarn log
yes,
file.
this is based on a true life story, where we encountered a bug and didn't know what happened. And in short, it turned out that it was a bug in the dependency. So yarn log or log file, it could be called different in NPM, is the main source of truth for your package manager when installing dependencies. So let's say you have some version range in your package JSON, and in the log file you have the list of currently installed packages and their versions. So each time you run either npm install or yarn install, the package manager looks into both of those files, compares them, and if there is any differences that do not fit within each other, it will make sure to install a new version or just get rid of whatever is not currently used. And if you don't have a log file, it installs the newest version that fit into the versioning specified by package.json. So let's say, what would be the use case? Like, let's say you have a package with a version bigger than like 1.2.0, like there, right?
Okay.
And if you have a version installed in yarn log which is 1.2.2, then it fits the version. But even though the new version was released like 1.2.5, Yarn won't update it because the one you currently have still fits into the requirements specified in package.json. But in reality, like if new users install your library, they will see the 1.2.5 and it might do something for them. Well, it shouldn't because it's a patch, but
Yeah, but bugs happen, and there were a lot of times when we saw a bug being introduced as a just a bug fix release. So yeah.
So yeah, and even more happened in dependencies. Because
so
basically
basically Yarn log keeps not only your dependencies but also dependencies of your dependencies and their dependencies and so on and so on. So it kind of it saves the whole tree of the dependencies, right?
That is true. One thing is worth mentioning though. Only the top level Yarn log is the source of knowledge. So everything else, like every package.json within every dependency and its subdependency and so on, is treated like there is no Yarn log.
Okay.
So once you generate one, like the root one, you just need to make sure to do the dependency management in order to keep those in touch because they're locked in the yarn.log, and you can do it manually, like by running some comments in Yarn, like upgrade.
Yarn upgrade or Yarn upgrade. It's just a single package, or you can use Dependabot.
Or use Dependabot. One thing we wanted to do here is just to update the Yarn log file and not update package.json, because we wanted to stick to some version ranges. So we created a custom script in CI, which basically did run Yarn upgrade, but it's use case by use case, really.
Okay. So we are talking about Yarn here, but npm also has a similar notion where it saves the package log JSON file. And I think it's worth mentioning that since npm 7, which was a huge release, they actually made it compatible with Yarn log, or maybe in other words, they are actually trying to read and parse the Yarn log as well as package log JSON. So they are actually using Yarn log as a source of information. And when we are using npm install in a repository which has Yarn log, npm will also update Yarn log, which is, I mean, it's amazing for compatibility reasons. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, if you don't believe those package managers, like you said, you can spend your whole day updating them by hand, but it's much more painful to do that if you have stuff like that now available.
I'm a big fan of automating all the things, so why not just do it? From other interesting tools that we wanted to look into, do you know anything about working on packages locally? Because there is this tool called yalc.
Yes,
I guess it's yalc.
And yes, this is especially useful if you have some code that relies, like some code that you're an owner of, and let's say you have a UI kit or system, like some icons, buttons that you have, and
So basically, you have one package that you maintain and other package that uses that first package, right?
exactly. So instead of releasing that to npm and then putting it in your project, you can do what you want to do in that package locally, kind of publish it virtually locally as well, and then use it in your code to see if it works in a real life scenario. So this kind of mimics npm, where you go to your dependency and then run yalc publish. This creates like a virtual registry, and then you can just add it within your code, which is really useful, and I actually use it a lot.
Yeah, I honestly speaking, I never heard of it before, but it would have been really useful because I was just using npm link, which or yarn link, which is not quite the same. I mean, it doesn't have all the features that yalc
It's
has.
kind of similar, but this works.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if you're working on packages that you use for your systems or applications, and you have to maintain like a set of packages, then I think yalc will be a great tool to use.
Definitely.
And I just wanted to skim quickly through another tool, which is I think great for mainly for front-end developers, which is called Bundle Phobia. I'm pretty sure you've heard of it. So basically, the purpose of it is you put in the name of your package or any package, basically, and it shows how much it weighs. Let's see. How much it weighs, and if it's tree shakeable, and if it has any dependencies, and how fast would it download on 3G connection, which is a great source of information for any front-end developers. But also, if you think that this is too much or this is too much for any reason, you can scroll down and you will see similar packages based on the, I think, npm tags or something like that. So we can choose actually from alternatives that do the same or closely relate to each other. So we'll see. Let's open this one up. For example, this weighs 60 kilobytes, and if you scroll down, you can see that there are actually tools that are even 82% smaller, which is great.
Do you have some package.json file that we can scan? I saw there is a beta feature on the main page.
Beta feature. No, actually, I don't, but I could, yeah. I did not
If we don't have one
JSON
ready,
file to
then
scan. I didn't use this beta feature, but I often use this just manually inputting the version of the packet, and also you can compare how it changed through the version. For example, you can see that in 0.31.1, it YAP weighted 63 kilobytes, and now in the new beta version, it only weighs 40 kilobytes, which is great improvement. I mean, it will be a fast difference for the front end. So yeah, great tool. I highly recommend it.
There is a similar extension for VS Code called import cost, and it gives you a rough idea about how much space it takes, and just shows the value right in your IDE. So that's a neat extension that I use.
Yeah, you can see it in the animation.
Also, if you want to reduce, sorry.
Yeah, how it's shown in the animation how they changed the dependency, and it's instead of 70 kilobytes, it's now 2 kilobytes. So yeah, really neat.
True. You told me about this one thing. I didn't use it, so I don't can really tell if it's good or not. But you told me about PNPM, which potentially reduces the size of the files that are stored locally on your drive, right? Which is,
Yes.
and if you have different versions installed or specified within your projects, it only makes sure to update those ones that are different. So it kind of creates a symlink to the file from the code rather than pointing to a top level node modules directory. But I'm not sure. It looks cool. Big companies use it.
Yeah, it's sponsored by some big companies, supported. So you said the basic idea is that I think it's that I don't use it, just the disclaimer, but I think the greatest you will see the most like save the most space when installing dependencies with PNPM when you have a lot of repositories or a lot of projects working locally, and when they use similar dependencies. Because with Yarn version 1 or with NPM, you will get a copy of the dependencies each time you install them in a separate project. And with PNPM, if the versions match, they will be symlinked, and there will be no copy of the file, so it will save disk space. And also, it's so much faster. If you have a package already in cache, it doesn't copy it; it just symlinks, and then it takes like half the time than copying, or even less. It says it's twice as fast, but I think it could be even faster if you already have the data in cache.
So it's mostly to address the issue of your local development environment that is being slowed down by this amount of packages, right?
Also, you wouldn't think how much these packages can wait. I mean, it's not kilobytes. It's often megabytes or even gigabytes of packages in Node modules. Node modules is like a black hole. There was this joke, and for this reason, there is this tool called npkill. Not sure if you have heard of it, but you just run npkill in your top level folder with your repositories, and it finds all the node modules inside. It tells you how much each of them weigh, and you can just select them and delete them. And as you can see in the video, that these node modules weigh 400 megabytes, 300 megabytes, 500 megabytes. They're like, it's really out of disk space that it's being wasted. So yeah, I use it often when for example, I switch between projects or I start working on something else, and I don't need my old dependencies just lying there on the disk. I just use npkill and delete them very quickly and efficiently.
I didn't know that. I will check it though. Looks cool.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah, anyway, I think we wanted to time box it to 30 minutes, and I think we covered most of it, which the most important point was updating the dependencies and trying to make it automatic by using Dependabot or Renovate. Also dealing with the log files. You'll find all the links in the description below. I'll try to update the video as soon as it's done processing. And thank you, Michał, for sharing your knowledge, and great article there. I highly recommend everyone to read it. And yeah, see you everyone in 2 weeks on the next Tuple Talks. Thank you, Michał.
Thank you as well.